Okay. Use your pointer finger and you want to get enough ink on your finger to make a mark, but you don't want it to be globbed on there or it won't ever dry. We're going to go to your sketchbook. If you need to do a couple of practice prints to make sure it's not going to be too heavy, we just want a fingerprint. Our fingerprint represents the size of the head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 heads tall is a tall man. That's the one I'm using. So I'm going to start the head in the middle of my page, my first fingerprint. Do not leave any space between fingerprints. There's one. I'm going to start the next one at the very bottom of my other one, and I'm going to try to keep it as uniform as possible. Just printing ink. It's water soluble, so when you're done, you can just rinse your hand in the water on your desk. If there's not water in your desk, it just means somebody moved it and there's water kind of throughout. Printing ink, just like this. This is what I use, Speedball block printing ink. Now we're gonna label it just like the worksheet. Get your worksheet beside you, just like this. We're just using our fingertip as a measuring tool for the head. The figure is 8 heads tall, so whatever you use for the head, as long as it's uniform, it will keep your figure in proportion. So if I had a huge poster board, I could make the head the size of a lemon, as long as I kept the size uniform, it would work. But because we want it to fit on an 8x11 piece of paper, we have to shrink it. So top of skull, chin, nipples or chest, navel or belly button, crotch, fingertips, bottom of the knee. So there are 3 rules that I want you, before you leave class today, I want you to know these 3 rules. And the first one, you probably already know because we've already talked about it. The figure is 7 heads tall. You could put 7-8. A toddler is about 3 heads tall. The figure approximately is how many heads wide? I usually say it's 3 heads wide, but kind of put a head on each shoulder of yourself. Think about that. Like you could have a head here and a head here. I always say, you know, if I did another fingerprint, I just don't want to get my finger dirty. If I did another fingerprint here, that would help me allow for shoulders. What I'm doing is I'm showing you several different ways. This is just one way, one method to think of and imagine, use your imagination as while you're drawing to say, okay, this figure is from the torso up 3.5 heads tall, then I need to make sure that my proportion is right. I've already looked through and photographed the pre-tests, and some of that proportion is wrong on the pre-test because it's hard to know what you don't know sometimes. But now you do, you can't unknow it. So the figure is 3 heads wide. You could put a head on each shoulder, each of your shoulders, and extend a line down, and the body should fit within that rectangle. If I am drawing a seated figure and I know that from the navel up there should be 3 head spaces, then I know that that's the kind of shape I need. And then the rest of the length is in the legs. It takes some imagination and it takes a little practice, but knowing those rules will help you be a little more accurate in allowing for different space and control. So here's about 7 heads from that all the way to the knee, and then another 8 there.
Is that a guy shooting a rocket? He's sitting like this.
This is his back. This is the chair. I'm behind him. So our last note is if you make the head grape sized or fingerprint sized, then it should allow for a figure to fit on this 8x11 paper. When you get your pretest back and you see it and think, oh, I made the torso 5 heads tall and the legs 3. You know, you shift that weight. Well, then you have this big hulk of a person with these little legs. So it just messes up your proportion.
But what if your legs are already little? You're arms.
A figure with that proportion didn't match any of my models yesterday. So we're just gonna match the models, which are human people. Method of using the head as a measuring tool. 1, 2, 3. By the time I'm where his hoodie ends and his pants begin, that's counting his head. 1, that's 3 for me. Even if you have to look through a leg, there's still a torso that is 3 heads long. So because I have the ink here, I'm gonna use it because it's just different and fun. It won't be here tomorrow. So you might as well enjoy it while it's here and play. I know, I have ink all over me, but it's the life I chose. So I turned my paper to a horizontal format because my drawing is going to be horizontal. So y'all make that decision for yourself. The first fingerprint I make, that's his head, and I'm going to place these in the shape that his torso I feel like is moved or is placed. And then I'm going to use the leg that has the weight on it. Well, his is pretty evenly. I'm going to use the leg that's planted on the floor for the rest of my line. We're just laying him out with a fingerprint. No. Yeah, this is the one time he's sliding down. He has to adjust, but man, they're gonna be throwing like rotten tomatoes at you, usually. So here we go. This is the negative space that I see between his head. If I extend a line, it does not touch his knee. His knee is lower from my viewpoint. Because you have some foreshortened angle, that's true. Just like if you were drawing my arm, it would almost just be overlapping itself. So it's called a foreshortened angle. We're getting there too, but it'll happen more often than not in your drawings. You'll get one. This is the only day we'll physically put like fingerprints. That's why I describe it as a buffet. It's not like you're gonna love it all, but at least I'm gonna offer it to you. Whether you kind of come back for it is gonna be your preference. But by the end of the unit, you should have enough to like make it work for you.